kid who lived 2 apartments down. He did odd jobs for some of her neighbors sometimes. Maybe he and a couple of friends could move her things more cheaply than a moving company. She needed to schedule her electricity to be turned off and arrange to have her mail forwarded. Please let the application for this new apartment get approved, and please, dear God, let there be a check in the mail soon. We're gonna be okay, she said to Buddy as she sat down beside him on the couch and scratched him behind the ears. When her cell phone rang, she hurried to the kitchen counter where she'd left it, hoping, like always, that it was Ryan. Or maybe it was Hannah saying they'd heard from Jacob. Pam Rutherford. Frowning, she answered it. Charlotte had recently bumped into her high school friend at the post office. They hadn't seen each other in years and promised to get together. Charlotte had canceled twice, both times due to work projects. "I'm not letting you cancel on me this time," Pam said after Charlotte answered. "My husband is starting to think we were never best friends in school." She laughed, and right away Charlotte smiled, glad that Pam still seemed like the fun person she was in school. "I am absolutely not canceling." Charlotte could probably list a dozen reasons why she should, but maybe a night out was exactly what she needed. It would be fun to catch up, and Pam was eager for Charlotte to meet her husband. Plus, it was a free meal, and Charlotte hadn't been to Carrabba's Italian Grill since the last time she'd been there with Ryan. Don't forget to wear green. St. Patrick's Day. Maybe all the festivity of the evening would keep her mind off her problems long enough to remember what it was like to have a good time. After they confirmed the time, Charlotte glanced at Buddy snoozing on the couch, oblivious to the big move they were about to make. But her pup bolted upright when there was a knock at the door, jumping from the couch and scurrying alongside Charlotte. She looked through the peephole, threw her hand over her mouth, and pulled the door open. Jacob took off his straw hat and let out a heavy sigh. "Vi beached, Charlotte." His English friend finally closed her mouth and stepped aside so he could enter her apartment, closing the door behind him. Jacob's jacket was folded over his arm as he carried the old brown suitcase across the threshold, sidestepping a little dog that was barking. The boxy piece of luggage with 2 gold-plated locks surely wasn't fit for big city life, but it was all he could find at the time. He set the suitcase down and reached into his pocket for a handkerchief, then dabbed at the sweat beading on his forehead. He knew it would be warmer in Texas than Pennsylvania in March, but he didn't think it would be like this. "What are you doing here?" Charlotte put her hands on her hips, stared at him for a few moments, then put her arms around his neck and squeezed. As she eased away from him, he studied her face, her swollen, red eyes. The dog was growling and showing his teeth, but Charlotte didn't seem to notice. "Why have you been crying?" She took his jacket from him, tossed it on the couch, then turned to face him again, her hands back on her hips. Jacob stood perfectly still, unsure if the animal at his feet was going to bite him. The little fellow seemed to pack a lot of energy for being so small. "Let's don't worry about me right now." Hannah called. "Your family is frantic. And how could you leave Annie like this?" She took a quick breath, then pointed a finger at him. "You need to call them right now." Jacob's feet were rooted to the floor, still in the entryway, mostly due to the dog, but he lowered his head, knowing he hadn't done right by his family or Annie. After a few seconds, he looked back at her. "I couldn't stay, Charlotte. I just couldn't. There's a whole world out here." He waved his arm around her apartment, the feel of the cool air a reminder of what he'd left behind. "I thirst for knowledge." Charlotte took a few steps toward him as she cocked her head to one side. "Thirst for knowledge?" She raised an eyebrow. Then she finally picked up her dog and he stopped barking. "I read that in a book." He glanced around her apartment again, at her white couch, 2 wicker chairs, glass coffee table, and lots of boxes everywhere.